So I cannot wait to see you and to watch this movie together in theaters while drinking bleach action flavored Coca-Cola.
Jesus fucking Christ. We are going to be like seeing shrimp colors in that theater. Welcome to Mortified, the Friendship Quest, a podcast where two long-distance friends bounce media recommendations, all in hopes the other will like it. I'm Aaron.
And I turn into the sideways eyeball emoji every time Hobbs and Shaw have a conversation.
And this week, we return to our favorite Fast and Furious buddy cops in Hobbs and Shaw. Before we discuss, Layla's written here, the gay rom-com that paved the way for Bros and Fire Island. Remember, you can help us on Mortified the Legitimacy Quest by subscribing to us on YouTube, iTunes, or Spotify, signing up for our monthly newsletter through the link in our show notes, or following us on Twitter and Tumblr at MortifiedPod. Layla.
Aaron.
Is Hobbs & Shaw secretly the biggest queer blockbuster of 2019?
I do think so, yes.
Based on the sheer amount of fan fiction that you found for this film, I think you might be onto something there. Can you explain more about that line of thinking?
Yeah, so I mean, listen, internet people, the denizens of AO3, they don't need a ton of reason to write fan fiction. I do think they need some reason to get into the weeds like they have with Hobbs and Shaw. So here's some sexy statistics for you. There are a total of 238 fics on archiveofourown.org for the pairing of Hobbs and Shaw. The one with the most likes, kudos, has 1,008 kudos, which isn't like... It's a lot, but it's not record-breaking. 462 comments, pretty fucking dense. That's the one that's been the most commented on. The one that really piqued my interest is the one that has an explicit rating and is sitting pretty at 500,000 words and is also not over.
569,000 words, closer to 570. Like, let me be clear. So I am like somebody who is a professional writer. I've been trying to be writing for publication since 2018. I've written maybe 250,000 words. Maybe 300,000. This person in their Hobbs and Shaw gay porn fanfic has eclipsed me in their writing output by about 40%.
And this fic includes, I will say, original characters of this author's creation, which is
excellent.
Extra effort they've put in. And also is tagged, "What have I done? I'm going to hell. Threesome, foursome, fivesome, moresome," which is a level of mental planning for sex scenes that I don't think I could achieve, and I live in spreadsheets for a living.
I was going to say, you're going to need some sort of, like, pipeline planning system to arrange that logistics around that fivesome. That's too many people's schedules to juggle.
And then 49 of the 238 total fics are porn. They might have some plot, but they involve explicit sexual encounters. That's, by the way, not counting the ones rated mature, who could also have some pretty steamy sexual encounters. That's just explicit works. And then there's one I want to highlight. Well, there's a couple I want to highlight, but basically... There is this trend I've noticed in Hobbs and Shaw fanfiction of the ABO dynamic, the alpha, beta, omega dynamic. And listen, y'all do you. I do just think it's very funny because they do involve things like nodding and heat cycles. You know, typical fanfic shit. If you don't know ABO dynamics, yeah, it's a fascinating little subsection of literature, and you should at least know about it, just for funsies and just to be a more involved denizen of the internet. Yeah, so that's a little bit about the Hobbs and Shaw fanfiction that exists on our. By the way, this is just AO3, so like other websites, Tumblr, like there could be more.
Wattpad, fanfic.net.
Oh, Wattpad would have been a great one to check. Next time I'll check Wattpad.
So normally, listeners, we don't recommend porn fan fiction to you all, but we're gonna have to make an exception for this case because there's a lot going on here. And here's the thing, I get it. After watching this movie, I see why it sparked, a 500,000 word fanfic. There's some choices made in the Hobbs and Shaw film that go beyond friendly banter to being like a love-hate, like hate-fuck relationship in a way that I, even as a straight person, like, this is a little much. This is, we want to fuck each other so bad it makes us both look stupid. Like...
Yeah, listen, I think this movie could have been 2 movies. I think one of them is the gay Hobbs and Shaw rom-com. I think the other one is Hattie Shaw's standalone spy
Hattie
thriller.
Shaw and her cool curse mark.
Oh, yeah. Hattie Uchiha and her cool curse mark. Yeah, excellent. Do you want to tell us what happened in short?
I mean, so Hobbs's hot sister Hattie is working for MI6
Avatar Watch. Toruk Makto. I will fly with you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you think we were going to get right into the topic of our podcast?
Oh, no.
No.
Listeners.
Oh, no, baby, it's Avatar Watch. Fucking trailer came out. We're gonna give you our live reactions right now on air.
Here's the thing. I love this shit. A lot of this shit I love. There's fucking whales with big horns. There's big jellyfish. They're riding plesiosaurs.
I do love a good plesiosaur.
We got weird spider mechas. We have teal Omaticaya. Or no, they're Navi. Omaticaya is a tribe.
Oh, the logo's not in
It's not in Papyrus anymore,
it's not
no.
in Papyrus anymore.
Regretfully.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, I have a question. Is this movie gonna be good?
Here's the thing. No. Leyla, I gotta break it to you. The fundamental core world building blocks of Avatar are not good. There's a lot of cool, interesting world building tidbits, but the the premise, the fundamental core of the movie is, a white guy gets turned into a native person. So I don't think it's gonna be good. I do think it will be fun.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it does look beautiful is the thing.
Yes.
The lighting is amazing, the CGI, everything looks beautiful. Here's the things I've noticed from watching this trailer live with you just now. Mm-hmm. 1, pregnant Neytiri again.
Gross.
Okay. All right.
We're doing it. We're going all the way.
We're going all the way. Wonder how this is gonna go.
Biracial children theory still remains intact for me.
Still remains intact. Their teenage daughter does sound exactly like 70-year-old actress Sigourney Weaver,
and we love that for her.
It's like watching Frozen for the first time again, where like Idina Menzel's voice should not be coming out of that little,
18-year-old Barbie.
Yeah, absolutely not. So Unhinged is going to be a beautiful movie. It's going to be insane. I think I might cry only because I love the ocean so much.
Yes.
I'll cry for the way of the water.
Yes, 100%.
So I cannot wait to see you and to watch this movie together in theaters while drinking bleach action flavored Coca-Cola.
Jesus fucking Christ. We are going to be like seeing shrimp colors in that theater. Oh my Lord.
Oh, I can't wait. Oh my goodness.
I cannot wait either.
Thank you all for joining us for Avatar Watch. We were going to talk about what Hobbs and Shaw was about.
So anyway, Hobbs's hot sister Hattie steals or is part of MI6, and she is being hunted by Idris Elba, who plays Brixton Lore, or is it Brighton?
It's whatever. I think it's Brixton.
It's Brixton, right? I don't know how to say English names.
It's Idris Elba.
Yeah, it's fucking Idris Elba. He is a cyborg man. He's literally like half robot, which rules. And basically he's trying to steal this virus that will kill most of the world if it gets just, released into the air. So she puts it in her. She dispenses the capsules in her body, which is a wild thing that happens.
Yeah, it's just Avengers Endgame for people who are allergic to nerd shit.
Avengers Endgame?
Isn't that the one where Thanos snaps half the population?
That's Infinity War.
And then Infinity War. So
here's the thing. There's a Captain America movie called Captain America: The Winter Soldier, which I thought was a much closer comparison because there's a robotic man running around kicking ass.
So it's, again, Marvel shit for people who are allergic to Marvel.
Yes, yeah. I think you're correct in that. But basically, Hobbs and Shaw are like, oh, they get, their respective handlers say like, hey, come and clean this up for us. They realize they're working together. They have a lot of banter, like a bad amount of banter, which, verges on the homoerotic in ways that inform the rest of our reading of the film. But they agree to work together. They rescue Hattie. They realize that she can only get the virus extracted out of her by a specific Russian scientist. So they allow her to get captured so she can go to him. The Russian scientists is at their base, the bad guy's base. Etion is the agency that Idris Elba is working for. It's basically what Tesla is. It's basically, if Elon Musk could put himself into a computer, that's the director of Etion. But anyway, that's actually giving Elon way too much credit. Anyway, they go to Ukraine to save her. But things break bad. The device that is supposed to extract the virus from her DNA or whatever gets damaged. So Hobbs has to bring everybody back to Samoa to reunite with his family that he has been displaced from for 25 years after he turned their dad in because he kept making them do increasingly dangerous crimes, which is very funny. But then they do like a cool, I don't know if you've seen the film Skyfall, that with Daniel Craig. It's a James Bond flick, but they basically do kind of the same thing where they set up like defenses around their house and, have like a cool, like Samoan versus, these robot guys fight. It's one of my favorite, like, combat sequences in the entire franchise because of the way that they do it. But basically, they end up, Hobbs and Shaw finally learn how to work together. They beat Idris Elba, who is subsequently euthanized by his AI overlord. And then they all go back home, and then Hobbs's adorable daughter gets to meet her grandma. It's great.
It is great. It's a fun time. So what's your overall like impression of this flick? Like, how do we feel about it?
So, critics gave this between like a 60 and a 65% rating, which is like, it's fine, right? And like, I actually think this is, I don't remember what my ranking was of the Fast and Furious films before, but I would say this is like actually top 3. Because I think it does kind of exactly what I want a Fast movie to do. There's definitely some stuff that I disagree with. We'll talk about their second act issue. But like, I liked it a lot. I mean, it was fun, and I do think it benefited from having a much smaller cast as far as Fast films go, because there's only like 4 major characters in this movie, and I think because we were able to zoom in on them and kind of get a little bit more about what they're about, it works a lot better. There are like discernible themes besides, a generic admiration for family in this one, which I liked. I had a good time watching this film.
Yeah, I thought it was a little bit too long. Like I said earlier, I think it should have been 2 movies, but like, yeah, it was a good time. We should note, so this is not directed by Justin Lin like the rest of the franchise. This movie is directed by a different man whose name I've forgotten, but he has also directed Deadpool 2, which...
David Leitch?
David Leitch. So when you consider our problem with the banter, it's like, gee willikers. I wonder I wonder where that style comes from.
Where did that come from? Up top, how you feel about our big boy, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson?
I thought he was great. I think one of my favorite sequences in the movie is the opening where you get to see a side-by-side of him and Shaw doing their like morning routines. They're color graded differently. The decor in their apartments is different. What they do is different. It's amazing. It is the most odd couple shit I've seen in my life. I love him. I love that he's a good dad. You know, I think, again, some of his banter goes on, like, a little bit too long, and there's, like, a little too much balls talk in this one for me.
Yes, so much balls talk.
Yeah, I think I could get rid of, like, 60% of the balls talk and still be cool. But yeah, I thought he was great to watch. I liked his sequences in Samoa where he gets punched out by his brother. I like his mom. Yeah, good fun time.
Yeah, I mean, I come down in a similar place. I mean, firstly, that side-by-side bit was just brilliant, just a way to, like, characterize the two men at the same time, you know, showing that they are, you know, in many ways very different, right? We see Shaw, like, making himself, like, an omelet, very, you know, carefully. And then we see Hobbs drink, like, literally doing the Gaston thing of drinking, you know, 5 dozen eggs. Like, and then, like, he just goes to the gym, whereas Shaw is just, like, getting a beer or something. Like, we see how different they are, but then, like, at the end of the night, they both go to, like, various places and beat ass for different reasons. There's a very good bit where Hobbs, like, goes into a tattoo parlor and starts whooping a bunch of people's butts, and, like, there's, like, a tattoo artist there, and she's just kind of there while he's interrogating this guy, and he like winks at her and goes, "Nice tats," which she is very appreciative of.
And she does, like, a little coy wiggle.
Mm-hmm. She's like, "Oh, thank you. It's very good." But yeah, I mean, like, especially the stuff about, you know, I think it is very smart of this movie to zoom in on family, like, to not stray too far from, like, what the kind of core thematic messaging of Fast and Furious is, which is family. You know, it does unfortunately involve, like, bringing out everybody's secret, you know, brothers and sisters and and everyone. But, like, I do think it is smart to, like, really center it around not only Hobbs as his, like, relationship with his daughter Sam, who I think is great, but also, like, tying it back to his roots as you know, a Samoan person, and, like, trying to actually go back to the, you know, the country itself. To be fair, the film, it was not actually shot in Samoa. They had to shoot it on Hawaii. But still, like, the fact that they are, you know, trying to make that such a big part. I mean, I think also Dwayne Johnson did, like, produce this movie in many ways, so I'm guessing, like, he got to write a little bit of that himself. But, like, listen, if you become as famous as Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, you might as well just be like, yeah, I want to do a fucking, you know, self-insert where me and, like, you know, my ancestors go kick ass against a bunch of white invaders.
Yeah, no, it rules. And also, like, I like the way that they raise the stakes in this one. Or, excuse me, altered the stakes in this one. I just burped in the middle of that sentence. Or, excuse me, altered the stakes in this one because, like, to shoot the guns, the evil guys need, like, an activator chip. So, and when they arrive on Samoa, The Rock finds out that his mom sold all their guns and they just have, like, ancestral weapons. So what they do is Hattie hacks in and is able to disable their guns. So everyone's, like, just back to fisticuffs. I did think that
rules. Easily my favorite fight sequence, maybe in this entire... The only one that I think is better is the one with that Indonesian fighter who beats up on... God, I think it's Han and... Oh,
in like 5, in like 6 or 7. 6.
Yeah, it's in one of... Well, yeah, I think 6. I think that's still a great fight, but, like, other than that, I think this is my favorite fight sequence because it is really just, like, a fucking medieval style, like, battle where they have, like, these, like, they have pikes and, like, big clubs, and they're just, like, owning these dudes who are like, well, we can't shoot anymore. I guess we have to hit them with our guns. Really fun sequence. You know, moving on to Shaw, I mean, like, these two are, like, pretty difficult to separate because of the ways they interact in this film. They're constantly together. But, I mean, I think he is effective. And I think that, like, his relationship with his mom and his sister is pretty good.
Yeah. He's, like, the buttoned-up former MI6 spy. And I do love that it sticks to the formula of like villains in this franchise get 2 movies before they're redeemed. Which is like both Hobbs and Shaw were villains in the franchise, and then like a movie and a half later, all of a sudden they're with the family.
Yeah, I think Shaw canonically kills Han, right?
Yeah.
So like it's just like Vegeta, right? Who, used to be a genocidal maniac destroying planets, and then, a couple seasons later he's just like hanging out at the barbecue.
We've said before, these movies are just anime. Like
they really are, yeah.
Anime logic. No, he's fun. But you know who I like better is his sister,
Hattie rules. Played by Vanessa Kirby, very attractive. She is great in this film.
She gets a lot of very fun costume changes too.
Yeah, no, she does great. She has a lot of cool outfits, and she looks very cool as she's doing a lot of her, fighting stuff. But also, I think like just as a character, like she works basically by herself. Like the only times that she doesn't really need Hobbs or Shaw to help her, really. Like she is fully like a member of the trio in a way that like, is nice to see, especially because of the ways in which this franchise has historically been like, we're going to put women at peril. Rip to Elena, notably, from the last Fast movie we watched. So it is kind of nice to watch Hattie just like kind of progress the plot all on her own while her brother and her, maybe love interest kind of fumble along beside her.
Her brother-in-law, okay? Like, listen, this movie, they give The Rock and Hattie some like standalone kind of like pseudo-romantic scenes. They don't read as effectively as the Hobbs and Shaw banter. They just don't.
No, that's the issue, right? This is the problem of all, of all media that has 2 boys and a girl, but the media is really about the 2 boys, is that because you focus on the 2 boys, this is your essay, this is your wrote it gay. Again, you deserve a fucking Nobel Prize for you wrote it gay because of the amount of times that I keep referencing it, because I think it is so true that when you don't flesh out your woman character enough, you make it about a love interest. You make the rivals gay for each other. Because
you introduce the like dynamic of, or the idea of romance, right? Like if you just made all 3 of them like buddy cops, I think it would read differently, right? You'd have less to read into. But because they introduced the idea of romance, I'm like, no, you've put it on the brains now, and that's why there's a 500,000 words on AO3 about these 2 very large men.
Like, listen, it's not like this movie doesn't have fluff. It's, over 2 hours long. But, like, I would say at least, like, maybe 3 solid minutes of it are banter between Hobbs and Shaw.
10.
Oh, God. Like, it just goes on, and they talk about each other's balls. They talk about how stupid they are. They talk about how, ugly the other is, how much they hate them, how much they want to kick each other's asses.
The scene where they meet in the glass box, it is shot like Pride and Prejudice. It is close-ups on hands. It's, like, increasing physical proximity. I'm like, you guys are shooting Mr. and Mrs. Smith now.
Yeah, like it's a little bit like, come on, y'all know I mean, clearly they don't want that dynamic, but like they are inadvertently creating it, which makes it even better.
Yeah, it makes it 100 times funnier. But yeah, Hattie rules. She's very hot. I like all her fight sequences. I like that she does everything better and in heels. So Idris Elba, Brixton Lore, like the coolest interaction with a motorcycle since Akira.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Do I think that Brixton is the best villain in the Fast franchise? I would say no. I think that the woman who shoots Elena is probably better.
Yeah, Charlize Theron.
Yes. However, Brixton is the coolest villain in the Fast franchise. He's the most memorable to me, certainly. Because he is a robot man.
It's Idris Elba as a hot cyborg.
Also, yes, it's Idris fucking Elba. It's so good when they like show people like trying to punch him, and like we see like his like HUD like fucking tactical analysis come up, and it's like threat detected, priority alert, and like he's just like owning them. He's just like, I just love to see, like, listen, I know that it's like common knowledge that people like Bruce Willis and The Rock like have things in their riders that they can't like lose a fight. But like Hobbs gets his ass kicked by Idris Elba several times in this movie, and I really appreciate like seeing somebody just own Hobbs, because it makes it just, you know, it actually adds weight to the battles.
There are some like very fun slow motion punch shots that happen, and to both Hobbs and Shaw. Yeah, I did notice that also. I was like, wow, without that weird clause where like Vin Diesel can't lose a fight and therefore The Rock also can't lose a fight. Damn, right? Like it really changes the dynamic of the film when your good guys can like get their asses whooped, especially by, I think it's really smart to make Idris Elba a cyborg because it doesn't have any implications for how strong and tough they are in the main franchise. It's like, oh, only a cyborg can do that kind of damage to them. So when we get back to the main franchise and we're fighting regular people, you know, you're not breaking your own lore.
I'm still not convinced that Charlize Theron isn't just going to start like shooting lightning bolts out of her fingers. Like, we either go to space or aliens, or we go to magic. Like, I don't know where else this franchise can expand to. So we'll see how that goes when we watch 9. But
which is next month. Very, very,
yes.
Very timely.
Yes. Looking forward to that. But yeah, I think Idris Elba does a great performance. Like you said in your notes, he's just like a sexy, confident dude who just shows up. He's like, I'm the bad guy. And like he has a motivation that does not make any sense to me at all. Like he somehow betrayed Shaw, but like to work for Etion, this weird tech corp. But like it doesn't fucking matter. He's just there, and then he answers to a weird robot overlord.
Like I said in my notes, everyone should get to be a little bit evil and a little bit sexy.
I agree. Notes on the Hobbses?
I love them. I'd kill for his mom. I would do violent crimes for that mother. She threatens everybody with her slipper. I did cry a little bit when Sam, his little daughter, shows up and hugs her grandma at the end. Thought that was very nice. Also,
yes.
I am pro any battle scene where 50 really, really hot, large Samoan men are shirtless.
It was really good. The second they, like when they deactivate the guns and all the mercs are like, oh, hey, what's going on? The Rock leads them all in a big haka. And like they all, you know, raise their weapons up and then they go into battle, and just, it's really, really cool. Like, you know, this is a franchise known for stunning shots and like big, you know, bombastic action sequences. But I thought that shot was like more affecting than like 90% of the stuff in the franchise, just because it was like genuinely born out of a genuine love for The Rock's culture. You gotta give it up. Like, he's wearing a sarong. It's so cool.
Yeah, and then he does a quick change into slacks and a t-shirt. This is
he does go and put a shirt on, which is very funny.
It's really good. The Shaws. I would do Crimes for Queenie, which is not a big ask because she would ask me to.
Gosh, who plays her?
Helen Mirren.
Famous actress. Helen Mirren. Yeah, that's right. You know, she's great. All she wants is she's very much a mom in this one. She's just like, I just want you to reconcile with your sister, Gov. And like at the very end they do, and it's great. And they give her a cake that has a metal file in it.
No, it has C4 in it.
What?
She didn't want the file. She wanted C4.
Oh, she wanted the C4, yes. And then it is implied that the three of them murder everybody else in the prison, which is really funny. And then, yeah, she's great. There is a brief sequence with like a person who, quote unquote, robs Russian mobsters, Margarita. Any thoughts?
She's hot.
She's hot. They did have maybe the funniest sequence in the movie for me, which is Hobbs and Shaw and Hattie all go to like meet with her to get their guns or whatever. And she immediately greets Deckard by making out with him for like 5 seconds. And there's a pan to Hattie's face, which is just open mouth horrified. And it's like, yes, that is what that's a sibling reaction. That is what it's like. Thank you for getting siblings right.
Yeah. Listen, as far as I'm concerned, my brother is going to stay 16 forever and will never marry or date or touch another human being. That is just that is how I protect myself mentally.
We don't talk about it.
Yeah. The director is a spooky computer presence.
So, who do you think the director is?
Oh, I could not tell you. It's somebody who knows The Rock.
Yes, so it's implied they know The Rock. I think the director is like, you know, the what was the program in the mainline franchise? The Eye of God?
Oh, yeah, God's Eye.
Yeah, I think the director is like God's Eye gained sentience and became like an Ultron, and now is just like trying to kill The Rock.
Oh, that would be fucking nuts.
I want that to be true so bad.
Same. Yeah, okay, I'll buy into that. And then the other honorable mentions I want to throw in, Kevin Hart and Ryan Reynolds are in this movie.
Yeah, oh, fuck, I forgot to bring that up. Yeah, Kevin Hart and fucking Ryan Reynolds are in this movie.
So Ryan Reynolds actually very funny in this movie because he keeps insisting that The Rock and him are best friends.
And The Rock hates his... They make the CIA look very stupid in this movie, which is very good.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. And then there is Kevin Hart, who takes part in the longest and worst banter scene. Like, that plane scene did not need to be happening.
Could have been the entire plane sequence could have been thrown out a window. It was bad.
It was so bad. It literally only served to introduce Kevin Hart, and his only function was to fly them out to Samoa. They did not need to explain how they got from Ukraine to Samoa.
They don't do it for anything else, so...
Yeah, I didn't need that explanation. We literally could have gotten the CIA agent that got Shaw, who was the more competent one, or Ryan Reynolds to get him that charter.
Or Margarita, who was established, has connections, so...
Well, she did betray Shaw.
She did?
She sold them out to Idris Elba in that scene.
I don't remember anything that happened.
Okay, it was a bombastic movie full of hot people.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Well, I guess that's why they had to introduce fucking Kevin Hart for some reason.
Yeah, though Kevin Hart, he knew what movie he was in. He put his whole heartacy into it.
Pussy into it.
See, I can't even... So, yeah, we keep watching, some friends and I keep watching Chef Club videos together. And I'll tell you, we've discovered that the meat-based ones are the worst ones. They're the worst offenders. We did watch one yesterday where they take like a big old steak and they cut it in half and then they put a bunch of cheese in the middle, and it's not properly cooked, obviously, because it's Chef Club. But the cheese is like dribbling out from the middle of the fucking steak, and we just called it the chussy, and now
Okay.
Yeah, I get to live through that with me now.
Cool. Thank you for that.
You're so welcome, bestie.
Yeah, we already talked about how the banter, because they focus too much on it, makes it inherently homosexual. But I do want to talk about, so this was a problem, I think, in at least many other Fast films, where the second act just drags. And I'm wondering, because this is the thing too, like they invade the base and there's a very long action sequence. And, it's a fine action sequence. There's a cool bit with a flamethrower that I thought was great. But, like, other than that, I was pretty bored by it. This could have been, maybe a 10-minute sequence. And it was, an hour-long sequence. And I'm wondering, is that on purpose? Like, Leyla, I suspect you know a little bit more about production and development. Not necessarily in movies, but, in games, as that's your career. But, like... when you're thinking about a franchise like this, like, are they intentionally stuffing it with like just action sequences because that's what they believe audiences want?
I couldn't honestly. Those action sequences are so expensive, right? They're such budget eaters that I don't know why they're in there. I feel like these movies just need like a storyboard pass. Like an extra one to just go through and make sure shit flows well. Because I don't think that the action sequences are the Act 2 problem. I think all the exposition we get are the Act 2 problem. I feel like they just take all the exposition and they put it all in Act 2 because Act 1 has to be all the like character entrances. I think we need a little more exposition in Act 1 and a little less in Act 2. You could trim down some of the banter and then it would be a perfect film, no notes.
It's just like, yeah, I think you're right? It's just... they are so heavy, and like the worst part was like you said, right? We checked like at the end of this Act 2 like action sequence, and it was like, wait, there's still an hour left in this movie. That was not necessary in any way. I really wish we could have, maybe cut that sequence down into like a 10-minute, like, okay, hey, they got the device, but then they have to go do something else. That being said, like, if I was the person who was writing these films and I was like, okay, we are expected to do X number of action sequences, sure, we'll just do a bunch of dumb shit here, and it'll be fine. It's just, that's what Act 2 is for. It's for having fun and dicking around. So here we go.
Yeah, but when you think about, see, this is where I get into like weird territory, because when you think about filming an action sequence, that is so much planning. You have to make sure the location is secured. You have to make sure your stunt doubles are secured. You have to make sure that there's like massive insurance implications on those days of shooting. There's a massive production implication on those days of shooting because you have to communicate all this information. You have to make sure that everyone is exactly where they need to be at the moment where they need to be. You are not reshooting most of these scenes. So if there's CGI involved, and there's CGI involved, you have to make sure that things are shot in the way that CGI needs it to be shot. So it's just like, I truly like couldn't even begin to tell you what happens in those rooms, because so much planning and so many checks go into making these sequences, and they're so long and so expensive. That's probably why they're hesitant to cut them. Mm-hmm. Because you sit down with a bunch of execs in a room and it's like, okay, well that motorcycle jump cost us, I don't know, I'm throwing out a number, $50,000. Like, you're not gonna want to cut that and leave that on the cutting room floor. So I'm wondering if that's part of it. But yeah, no, the fucking second act drags every time. I don't remember the one in the next one dragging, though. I do think Fast 9 is a perfect movie, no notes. I'm going to stand by that. I'm going to see how I feel when we watch it next month.
Okay, I hope you're right, because I have been like very, very interested in seeing how this whole thing wraps up. So I am looking forward to Fast 9 next month.
We're going to find out. I'm hoping I'm not overhyping it, but we're going to find out.
That said, there are a couple of post-credit sequences in this movie, which I think is new for the franchise. Not like super new. There's obviously like little teasers, and some of them, but it got me thinking, Leyla, if you could add a fun, inconsequential post-credits sequence to a film or video game, mm-hmm. what would it be?
Ooh, inconsequential.
So by that, I mean like, does not affect plot, but it's much more about characters, right? Because the one in here is like, there's one where Hobbs pays back Shaw for giving him a fake passport, which was named Mike Oxmall, right? So it's like, haha, it's like a dick joke. And then he's like, haha, your name is Huge Anus now. Haha, got him. It's very silly and doesn't affect the plot at all. But like, yeah, something that's more character focused that's just kind of for fun.
So I want to take you back to when I made you sit through the Nietzsche Bible-based JRPG trilogy Xenosaga.
God, that was this year, wasn't it?
So I would want some scenes, post-credits, where Cosmos is hanging out in the lab with the professor, because I think she's like assistant number 2 to him. And I want his other assistants like teaching her how to do just like stupid shit. I want to watch this battle cyborg learn how to make a spreadsheet or like titrate something, Mm-hmm. I think that would be a good time for me. And then I would want somebody of the main cast to walk in on this and ask her to do something more priority. And then she would be like, no, I'm already engaged in this task. I think that would make me happy.
That would be very funny. I think I would do just like a small sequence from Hades, the Supergiant game, where we like get a scene of Megara and Thanatos both like watching Zagreus like throw himself at like the bone hydra or something, and they're just like, this motherfucker's so stupid. Yeah, he is. I want to fuck him so bad. Same.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Something like that. I would also like I would also enjoy a sequence of Kingdom Hearts with the fairies planning out Sora's new outfits and fighting over the amount of belts.
Yes, actually, that would kick ass. That would be great.
I think that would be really fun. So yeah.
Oh, God. Well, Leyla, when we are not trying to justify the amount of belts in Kingdom Hearts. Where can we be found on the internet?
You can find me at LEYLSCS on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram. I'm staying on Twitter till it fucking lights a flame. I've curated my experience on there pretty good, so we're chilling. I am also on co-host. I don't know if I'll ever use it, but I did secure my handle, so if you want to follow me at LEYLSCS on there, that's fine. Tumblr's always a safe bet, so you can find me there. But yeah, I'm drawing a little bit now. I'm mostly just sick for like a month now, so come watch me post pictures of toast. Aaron, what about you?
You can find me on Twitter at AaronSXL, also co-host, because I'm afraid of what has happened in the past week, where I tweet about tabletop RPGs, health policy, and writing. I just released a YouTube video at A Voigt on YouTube about the tabletop game Beak, Feather, and Bone, and how it's interacts with maps and the history of cartography and how that's political. I think it's probably the best essay I've done all year. So please check that out. I'm very proud of it. You can also listen to the other podcast I do at The Bible Boys, where me and my ex-evangelical friends talk about Christian media. And we just wrapped up our spooky season, so please check out any of those episodes. They were great, and it's the only time of the year I watch good movies, except for on this podcast, where I also watch good movies, I suppose. The only time I watch good movies is because my friends recommend them to me, is how it goes out. Otherwise, I just sit in my garbage. Our theme song is Obsolete by Keshko from the album Filmmakers Reference Kit, Volume 2. You can find more of their music at keshko.bandcamp.com. Leyla, how should we close this one out?
Oh, Aaron, every time you speak, it's like dragging my balls across shattered glass.
Oh, there's nothing subtle about you. We'll see you all next week.
Bye.